Good afternoon or morning, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast here by Adrian's Weather Forecast. And this is a very exciting video, especially for hurricane lovers, especially as the season is very close from now. So this is actually going to be my first look into hurricane season. It's a hurricane season outlook and preliminary forecast, as you can say, for hurricanes. And we're also going to be looking like why this hurricane season can possibly be very active. So we're going to be this is basically going to be my first hurricane forecast for the whole season. Also, a look and outlook into why this season could possibly be incredibly active. So, again, be sure to subscribe. I do apologize in advance for my maps looking a lot different in the last couple of slides we'll be looking at later in the video. You probably know what my regular maps look like for my monthly forecasts and seasonal forecasts. Sadly, the website and the app I use does not have a whole North Atlantic map, so I have not used that map for these forecasts. So it's a bit different of maps, and I try to make them look as professional as I can. But I do apologize. That's the best I could have done on a short notice, since I realized that it's almost less than 8 weeks away until June 1st. So again, be sure to subscribe, especially if you love hurricane season, as we'll be looking at hurricanes for the whole season and looking at potential hurricanes and all that. Also, be sure to share the channel. I really want to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of possibly June, if not July. So without further ado, let's get in this video. So here we're looking at the ENSO outlook. We haven't looked at this since my last preliminary winter forecast, but this is not a look into winter. It's actually a look into summer. So we're going to be looking at what the ENSO outlook has. And there's a huge chance we're actually in an ENSO neutral as of right now. And there's a chance that it might be an ENSO neutral as we go into summer. And you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with hurricanes? Well, this has a huge impact on hurricanes, because La Nina is actually bringing bigger hurricanes and more active hurricane seasons, and encourages hurricanes. But as an El Nino, that actually is going to strengthen the wind shear, which will take hurricanes down, make them weaker, and a lot less active. So neutral tends to have a not unpredictable hurricane season. It all depends on the wind shear and all that. But neutral means it could be very active, if not maybe average. So it has a huge impact, especially with wind shear, and also, of course, the pattern in the ocean temperatures. So most models do show the biggest probability out here as a neutral, and most models do show it just above 50% of probability. But also, the thing is, we also have a huge probability. It was second place, if not tied, for La Nina, and that's going to be averaging around 30 to 40% of La Nina, and the lowest will actually be an El Nino, staying really at a 10 to 30% chance for happening. So right now it looks like neutral is going to continue at the highest probability throughout all the way through summer. But again, we also have that chance for the La Nina. That's probably looking like we will have a La Nina as we get right into hurricane season in early June. But again, right now is an ENSO neutral, and it's likely again to continue throughout summer. But there's still that very good chance for La Nina, and also these models are very close to La Nina, so it's more of a lower neutral, so that still could possibly still bring in a lot more active a hurricane season, even though it's not necessarily a La Nina. It's not going to be like a not necessarily like a higher neutral closer to El Nino, it'll be like a lower neutral. As you can tell, the other half of models show it under 50% chance, so it's still a very good chance for possibly an active season. Now we'll be looking at the model outlooks, and these most of you all know that a El Nino considered a positive 0.5 or higher, and La Nina is negative 0.5 Celsius or lower, and then in between positive 0.5 and negative 0.5 is a neutral. So as you can tell, most models are showing a neutral, and only one or two actually show a positive, above a positive 0.5, which is a El Nino, of course. And models are actually showing on the lower side of a neutral. So again, This is going to be the lower side of a neutral. This is considered the lower side, and that's actually really good. This is considered the lower side right here. As you tell, a lot of the models show a lower side of a neutral, getting closer to a La Nina. And here we have past this line is La Nina, and look at all these models coming very close. Look at all these models very close to the border of a weak La Nina. And then here we have these other models getting into maybe a very strong La Nina, will possibly bring in a incredibly active hurricane season. So again, still the biggest probability right now is a neutral, and again, most do so again at a very weak neutral and a lower side. So that's a better chance for these models in the future to shift down into a La Nina. So again, looks like this summer looks like as of right now, again, it is a Enzo neutral, and it's I believe it's a 55% chance for the neutral in general to continue throughout summer on the summary here in Enzo. But again, we still have that very good chance for a 40% chance of 45 throughout here into La Nina. So yeah, basically looks like as this is not the future outlook. This is just what models are showing throughout right now. Now this is what the future anomalies are showing here. Again, still same graph except the future. So basically, this is what it's showing to the next 8. I believe it shows the next 8 weeks. Uh, right here. So again, it is still showing predicts Enzo neutral to continue through spring and chances favoring La Nina thereafter. So again, right now throughout spring, which we just got to spring not too far ago, we still have this possibly Enzo maybe all the way to the end of spring, which is again early June, late May. That is late spring. And this possibly La Nina could develop right during the middle of hurricane season, if not the beginning. So either way, it's still going to be a very active hurricane season if it plays out, even if it doesn't become a La Nina before, because again, it's still going to be on the lower side of a neutral. Look at where it's going to be starting right here at a really a negative 0.2, if not negative 0.5. And look how all the models in the next couple of weeks show all of them. 100% of the models is going down out here into a La Nina, all of them. And this is definitely showing you that really this summer is definitely a very big chance for becoming a La Nina. So again, that's just something we have to worry about if it's becoming a very active hurricane season with a lot of possibly category 3, if not above, major hurricanes. And this is very exciting, especially for people who love forecasting and all that, but it's also not exciting for areas such as the Caribbean and Atlantic coast. So now we'll be looking at the temperature anomalies here. So again, here we're looking at any temperatures that are above from 0.4 up here. This is above average temperature. It's ocean temperatures. And then from the negative 0.4 to negative 5 and more, that's where we have really cooler temperatures. So look at this. We have very warm temperatures throughout almost all of the North Atlantic. And again, for most people who know, we need warm waters for hurricanes to develop. Most of the early hurricanes, like let's say such as possibly June and July, most of them do develop off the coast of Africa right here. So we're really going to need the warm waters right here. This is where we're going to need the warm waters out here off the coast of Africa. But as we get closer to September, maybe even October, we start to see these systems develop possibly right here, and if not also right here in the Gulf Coast. And then that's where we see that track moving towards Florida, and then we see this Gulf Coast. But look at the Gulf Coast though. The Gulf of Mexico, very warm at around 1.6 to 2.8 degrees above average temperatures, which is actually quite high, as they tend to see 80s at this time of year as temperatures. And again, definitely something to develop possibly off the coast of Cancun, Mexico, a lot of those. And then we also have the potential for also hurricanes that develop off the, again, western coast of Africa. So right now, it definitely looks like a the waters are very warm throughout much of the northern Atlantic, even all going all the way up into Maine and Nova Scotia. They are above average temperatures. So if as of right now, if these temperatures continue to warm, really either stay the same or continue to get a lot warmer, then we'll definitely possibly see a potential for a lot of hurricanes developing with warmer water, and possibly if we have less wind shear. Now we'll be looking at the temperatures right now, like in Celsius, to see exactly how warm they are. So again, we're seeing, of course, we're not going to be seeing the high 20s and low 30s as of right now. It's still April, beginning of April, but again, we're starting to see very warm waters out here off the coast of Africa, in between South America and Africa. We're seeing possibly around, I believe we are seeing 84 all the way up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe so. That's what we're seeing there. No, sorry, I believe it's like 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is actually pretty warm, especially a lot of that's really the ingredients for a hurricane development. We're starting to see these waters in the Caribbean, all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, starting to get a bit warmer as we continue to go in the next couple of weeks. Definitely seeing very warm waters out there, of course. And we are possibly seeing these 20s, lower 20s, becoming, these teens becoming 20s as we continue to go on into closer to May. So again, very warm waters throughout here, and then also very warm waters throughout the southern Pacific. So yeah, so now we look at the next slide here. So now we're going to start getting to my map. So of course this is not as good as my other maps here, but this is my general track for the Atlantic hurricanes. Where I think the cone is going to be. Again, this is not going to be for every hurricane, every named hurricane. Of course, this is a cone. So when we have a hurricane, we have that potential cone where it's going to go. So this is where we have the best track. I'm not saying we're not going to have hurricanes go here, 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 or even all the way over here. So again, I'm not saying there's not going to be hurricanes there. Of course, there's going to be some one or two systems there. But this is where I think where we have the best named and biggest threat for hurricanes, especially throughout the Caribbean and Gulf Coast, and of course the East Coast. So again, this is where my best track is for the potential for hurricane landfall or development. So of course we have a big threat for the Caribbean, out there near Florida, the Carolinas, again almost all of the Gulf or the whole Gulf Coast throughout the United States. So I think again this will have the best tracks throughout this year. So maybe more than 50%, or if not 70% of these systems will at least be close or in this cone for either landfall again or development, or maybe even growth out here in this cone. Now we'll be looking at the ocean temperatures and my predictions. Again, as of right now, we have above average temperatures throughout all of these areas, I believe, except throughout right here. Of course, again, off Morocco and all that, we still have average to slightly above average temperatures, but I feel like we will be seeing, as the time comes, above average temperatures throughout all these areas in the orange. So of course, much of the northern Atlantic, of all the way from North Carolina to Morocco, and then all the way from the western coast of Africa. And again, this is where we have the best development areas for hurricanes, especially early in the season. This is what we really have. So if we have above average temperatures early off in the season, we could definitely be seeing early, maybe category 1s, maybe tropical storms developing. Maybe if not missing the Caribbean, maybe hitting areas such as the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast, but the Atlantic coast, of course, potentially the Caribbean. If not, maybe entering the Gulf Coast. So this is my prediction for ocean temperatures. Now wind shear. This is possibly the biggest threat for possibly seeing a lot more hurricanes this season. Less wind shear is what we're going to be seeing this year. My prediction, it looks like it's really going to happen, especially with the La Nina. With the La Nina, we see less wind shear, and wind shear is basically the one ingredient that takes down hurricanes. So basically, it makes hurricanes that develop very unorganized, and it makes them fall apart very quickly. If not, if a hurricane's strong enough and forms fast enough in the really warm waters and becomes maybe category 2 or 3, as it enters more into the ocean, it's going to obviously weaken maybe from category 3 to category 2, if not category 2 to category 1. So wind shear is that one thing that if we have less of, it's a very dangerous threat, especially areas especially like the Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Jamaica, really big threats as some areas are still recovering from Irma, Maria, and all that. So that's something. It's not a good sign to see less wind shear. And now for my last map, if you're in the red, this is my normal maps that I use. But if you're in the red, you'll be seeing above average hurricane activity. Again, as you can tell, that's all from Texas up to Virginia. I don't think necessarily we'll have too many hurricanes getting up towards Virginia, Delaware, and the Mid-Atlantic. I think our biggest threat would possibly be for Florida, Alabama, and much of the Gulf Coast. I think we'll definitely be seeing a lot of development there. But as long as you're in the red, if you're just outside the red, doesn't mean you're not going to get affected. I mean landfall. Like we'll have the landfall here again. Obviously with Irma went all the way up to Tennessee and all that. I'm talking about where we have the most activity for hurricane force winds and all that. I hope you got into the video. So overall, this is a very active hurricane season throughout 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are pumped, and I'm hoping to have maybe one or two more forecasts for hurricane season before June. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye.